think Mizuno might have forgotten the heel of this shoe. This is the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. What's up everybody, welcome to Rad Dad Bod TV. I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and today we are reviewing the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2, which is Mizuno's super shoe option for 2024. Now disclaimers, I did get this shoe for free for the purpose of review through my local running store, Utah Run. I was not and will not be paid for this review, however, and these thoughts are entirely my own. No one will get to watch this video beforehand, neither the store nor the local Mizuno rep. Now with that out of the way, let's dive into the specs of the shoe. So technically, this shoe has a 48mm heel and a 46mm forefoot for a 2mm heel-to-toe drop. However, because of the cutout of the heel, it is technically measured in under 40mm in the heel, which allows it to be legal for professionals to race the marathon distance in. But for all intents and purposes and usage of the everyday man, this is about a 2mm heel-to-toe drop. This shoe has a couple of updates from the V1, one of them being that the heel cut is a little bit more aggressive, the other being that they now have Mizuno Energy Light Plus here in the top layer of the midsole, with Mizuno Energy Light normal or standard kind of on the bottom of the midsole here. Now what's interesting is these are both PEBA based foams, however that top layer is going to be a lot squishier, a lot bouncier, while that bottom layer is going to be a little bit more durable, a little bit more supportive. You also have a carbon fiber Mizuno wave plate running through the entirety of the shoe, and the combination of those foams and that plate create what is known as a super shoe. The outsole has kind of this banded G3 rubber that runs along the outside of the shoe, obviously not in the cutout here, and then the upper itself is a mesh upper with kind of some slight overlays just to provide a little bit of structure to the shoe overall. The tongue, for those who are interested, is not gusseted at all, and it's a very, very lightweight mesh as well that just kind of sits simply on the top of the foot. Lastly, the shoe comes in at about 7.3 ounces in a men's size 9, which puts it fairly lightweight, which is not as common as you would think nowadays with a lot of the racers out there, so it is going to be one of the lighter shoes on the market. Now let's talk about fit. So as far as just overall sizing, it fits true to size. I would not go wide, I would not necessarily go narrow unless you normally do so, and I would not size up or down from your normal shoe size. I typically wear a men's 10.5, and this is a men's 10.5, and it fit as it should. As far as how the different areas of the shoe fit overall, I would say that the heel felt a little bit baggy, a little bit wide. The midfoot felt pretty standard, and the toe box felt pretty standard. So again, trying to go wider or narrower than you normally go, I don't think would be the move either, as the shoe fits pretty standard throughout. All right, now let's talk about the good and the bad. I think the best thing about this shoe is that it really makes you want to run fast. While a forefoot strike is not going to be natural for everyone, this shoe definitely does push you onto kind of at the very least the midfoot or the balls of your feet, and really kind of makes you want to lean forward and has that sensation of propelling you forward. The shoe itself doesn't give you a crazy energy return for every stride that you put in, but the more energy that you feel like you're putting in, the more energy it feels like it's giving back. So what I mean by that is if you try and run easy in the shoe, which is not necessarily designed to do, it may feel a little bit awkward. There's not a lot of pace versatility for it, but it's a racing shoe, so when you really kind of dig down and hit your paces and are really pushing, you're going to get a lot of forward propulsion and momentum. I think the obvious thing here is the shoe is not made for heel strikers. The shoe itself will make you hyper aware of your overall foot strike in general, and so that's always really nice if you're trying to really kind of maximize your form. Personally, I don't believe that anyone should try to necessarily change their foot strike unless it's causing injury, but I do think the general awareness of foot strike is always really important to kind of know how you're running overall. I think one of the biggest surprises for me with the shoe is that it is actually surprisingly stable. Obviously, it's not going to feel comfortable just standing in it, but I was a little bit concerned as more of a midfoot and when I fatigue kind of heel foot striker that I would be very unstable in the shoe at all times, but I took it out on a couple of tempo runs, some intervals, kind of shorter, speedier workouts as well. And at no point did I feel like my ankles were kind of in jeopardy or I had an unstable base under my foot. Again, very surprising. The last thing I'll say as far as things that I really liked is that it actually has some surprisingly good midfoot lockdown. The heel itself was a little bit baggy. I'll talk more about that in the bad, but the midfoot lockdown was really nice. I was afraid, again, I would kind of slide forward in the shoe and I didn't experience that sensation at all. Now let's talk about the bad. So I think the obvious thing here is that this shoe is going to be specific for forefoot strikers. If you kind of fall back on your heels at all, even when you just fatigue at any point, then this shoe is not for you. It's really going to just bias those who run on the balls of their feet. I tried to run with kind of different strides just to test it out, and as you would expect, it's just super clunky if you're not kind of up on your toes. And so for someone like me, I couldn't run a marathon in this shoe, even though that's what its intended purpose is. For me, you would probably find me sticking to the shoe primarily for like speed workouts on the track. I just don't see how I could even do like a 10K distance and really perform my best, because it's just messing with my stride personally a little bit too much. Along those lines, it's just kind of hard to slow down once you've gotten going. You know, typically what happens is when you walk with kind of a heel toe. So as you slow in your run, you start to kind of break a little bit naturally, and you just can't really break very well in the shoe. And so the shoe is fast. It is very fast, but it's not really able to go slow almost at all, in my opinion. So the pace versatility just doesn't exist in the shoe, period. Last thing I'll say as far as bad or things that need improvement is that the upper it fit a little bit weird to where the standard fit, like good midfoot lockdown, like kind of standard fitting overall toe box, you know, plenty of room for most normal feet. But that heel, I just could not get a good lockdown in the heel. I felt like there was extra material, that it was kind of bunching. It wasn't necessarily uncomfortable, but for a racer, you want kind of a sleeker, almost form-fitting upper, and I just didn't feel that with this. I think that could have potentially been corrected if there was the ability to do a runner's knot, but again, as with a lot of racing shoes, there's not that secondary eyelet to do so. And so all in all, just the fit of the shoe felt a little bit awkward to me. As far as talking about comparisons for the shoe, it's such a unique shoe that there's not a lot of shoes you could really compare it to. I think the only one that I would even try and make the comparison to would actually be the Alpha Fly 3. Weight-wise, I'd have to double check, but I think they're fairly comparable. But in the sense that the Alpha Fly gives great energy return, kind of the more you put into it, I feel the same or similar about the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. I think, like with the Alpha Fly, those who will get the most benefit out of the Alpha Fly 3 or the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 are those who are natural forefoot strikers who really don't even heel strike when they start to fatigue. The shoes are just designed in a way to propel you forward the more you're on the balls of your feet, in my opinion. I also think that these shoes fit very similarly as far as kind of overall profile. So, you know, depending on your preference, I think similar overall to the Alpha Fly 3 in terms of super shoe options. Another shoe to kind of look at and compare it to might be the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, as far as if the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 feels a little bit unstable to you or feels a little bit overly aggressive, same with the Alpha Fly 3, then I think the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris is going to give you a lot of the same sensations, a lot of the same propulsion, but with probably more overall forgiveness in stride type, as well as overall stability and comfort throughout. So there you go. That's the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. Probably one of the most unique shoes that I will ever wear, and a lot of fun overall on foot. While probably not the marathon option for me, and probably not necessarily the everyman marathon shoe, this shoe might be particularly interesting to those who ran track and in high school or maybe even college and are used to kind of racing flats, because has a little bit more of a similar setup, and so it will allow you to extend kind of that feel to longer distances. As for me, I think I'm going to be sticking to, again, interval and fast sessions with these shoes, because my feet and my stride just aren't as strong as these shoes kind of demand for. So that's the review. I'll leave you guys with a question to wrap up here, which is that for those of you who grew up running in spikes, have you tried the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2, and how does it compare underfoot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, And if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button and come back for more, because we've got the rest of the 2024 Super Shoe lineup, which will be reviewed very, very soon. Thanks, everyone.